Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. In today's video, I am playing a really beautiful little C major chord etude from the Kellner studies. This can be found on IMSLP, but I also have shared it already with patrons and channel members. So if you're not already supporting my channel, go on over there, become a patron or a member, and get these etudes delivered to you every week. Now, the tips that I'm going to share with you today are tips to help you successfully navigate a smooth transition over the break. And I think it's really pretty. It's very simple. I mean, you're just playing chords in C major. So if you want to change things up, you can transpose this into whatever key signature you want to practice. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to stick with C major today. So the number one thing that you want to keep in mind when you are trying to transition smoothly over the break is air support. So make sure that you are always breathing with a nice, big, deep breath of air. So my favorite thing to think about is the word home. So every time you breathe, just make sure you're breathing in with a very open, relaxed syllable. So you go all the way down. I like to imagine filling up all the way down into my toes. Now, once you're breathing nice and deeply and you're going to play, make sure that you set your embouchure confidently before you even begin playing the first note. The worst thing is when you just start playing and then you realize you're clamping and biting and doing weird things and you have to kind of adjust as you go along. So it works out a lot better if you just start with a good embouchure to begin with. So bottom lip over bottom teeth, chin flat, and I recently was talking about this with a colleague of mine, flat and flexed, right? So a nice flat, flexed chin, corners in, and top lip pressing down. So you have equal pressure on the mouthpiece all the way around. If you're not engaging your top lip, you're going to start biting and clamping upward into the reed. And when we start doing that, the reed isn't going to vibrate freely. We're going to get a weird grunt or honk or as we go over the break. So you want to have equal pressure all the way around, flex the chin and flex the face when you start. So kind of like that, okay? So making sure you always start in that position. So we've got our air, we've got our embouchure. When we are blowing across this whole little passage, when we're actually playing, make sure that you are blowing consistent air throughout these phrases. And we all know that every note on the clarinet has a different level of resistance. And if you're lucky enough to be able to pick out your own clarinets and pick out a clarinet which is even across the scale and registers of the instrument, even so, you will still notice little differences in resistance and sound and things like that. So my theory is to always play with a full, consistent breath of air blowing forward, really fast air. So high tongue position, and use air support like you're trying to blow out a candle. So instead of like slow air like you would use to fog up a mirror. So if you think of shh or E or, some type of high tongue position, and you combine that with your good embouchure and a nice big breath of air, you'll have a much better chance of getting over the break with consistency. Now, let's say all of those things are going really well for you, but you're still getting a little bit of a honk or a chirp going over the break. Now, I would suggest doing this very slowly and see what you're actually doing with your fingers. So a good example is the first measure right here. So if you're going from G to C and if you're not using all of your covers on the G, we're not going to talk about that at the moment. So we'll just say you're playing regular open G without any modifications to the fingerings. A lot of times, when we're going from open G to C, we slam our fingers down and, our fingers don't quite hit the tone holes where they're supposed to. So this is a good opportunity to practice keeping your fingers in a closer, more confident position above the tone holes. So whenever you're actually going up the scale and then coming down and you're lifting off of the keys, just pretend you're just relaxing your hand, not lifting and using the most rigid muscles ever to point your finger straight up at the sky, okay? So just think of playing this as, flexing and relaxing. And if you think of it that way, you may have a better chance of keeping your fingers close to the keys, and you'll have a better chance of hitting the tone holes in the same place every time, okay? So embouchure, air, and finger position are the three big things that we want to think about when we are trying to get a smooth transition over the break. And now I have one bonus tip. The bonus tip is jaw position, okay? So if you feel like all of those other things are going really well for you, I'd like you to sit in front of a mirror and watch your mouth when you play. A lot of people will drop the jaw or do the opposite and clench as you're going over the break. And either one of those things will change the air pressure and will change how the reed vibrates. And then you create a whole slew of other problems and habits that you have to get rid of. So my solution to that is, besides not moving your jaw, right? So just, keep your jaw still, is to actually blow air directly at the reed, right in the front of the mouth. For whatever reason, when I just imagine blowing straight forward and keep everything moving forward, it really helps me keep my jaw very steady and stabilized. So I know there are a bunch of teachers out there and really excellent players and students who may have some tips of their own who are watching right now. So I would love to continue my channel tradition of you guys adding your tips and tricks below as well, so we can all learn from each other. And if you're a member of the Facebook group, which is free to join, I can't wait to hear you practice and post this on the Facebook group. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.